Welcome to Hickory Street Podcast. We are here with Keeton Allen.
Hey.
Local Dentonite,
yeah.
Right? You live in Denton?
I live in Dallas now, but I went to school at UNT for a while and kind of got a lot of my little musical roots here, so.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah. How long have you been playing music for?
I guess since I was like 12, my grandma had a piano, so I'd kind of mess around on that. But I didn't really get serious until I had like $300 saved up when I was 15. I went to Hastings to get a TV, wanted a nice cool TV to game out on, but I ended up saw this little Casio synthesizer, stared at it for like 20 minutes, and I was like, that looks more fun. I can always get a TV. Fuck it, I'll get this.
Cool.
So bought a Casio and started making
Most people
piano
would
tracks.
have gotten the TV.
Yeah. Well, I think that one decision maybe started my actual interest in music. Ended up getting a piano teacher after that. So that would be 12 years, I guess, of using the word musician to describe my hobbies.
Cool. So your first instrument then was just a keyboard? Yeah,
I started on piano.
How long did you take lessons for?
I took lessons for 2 years, but it was not super structured. Like, my teacher was really cool. We started out learning theory and stuff, but she kind of realized, this is boring. She taught me different methods. She just called it chord theory.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, she would say, read the right hand and just know what to do with your left hand based on that. Don't read the left hand at all. And that was cool. I'm really glad she taught me that, because it instead of just read the notes, read the song, it is kind of know the song, get an intuitive feel for the song, and then kind of construct an interpretation of that on the fly. And having that little base was where I don't think I'd be able to write things as often if it wasn't for that little bit of advice.
Oh yeah, man, I could definitely see that. That's one of those things that for me at least, because I took guitar lessons for a little while whenever I first started playing guitar.
Yeah.
And it was a situation for me at least where they were trying to teach me sheet music, and I just got really disinterested really fast. And at that point I had already started to learn how to play a little bit, and so it was they taught me how to play Mary Had a Little
yeah.
Lamb, and I was like, I'm paying $80 for this.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You found a teacher. What was your teacher's name?
Her name was Nicole Peacock.
Oh, okay.
And she played piano at church, and she owned an antique store where I was growing up in Bonham. She works at a Renaissance fair making jewelry now. She has a cool hippie gypsy job. But I think she still does music stuff. But yeah, that sucks, because in that scenario, someone who like you is musically inclined and ends up doing a bunch of really cool stuff later on, that might have killed your spirit, if you kept going repeatedly and they made you just do stuff that wasn't fun or engaging. You might not be here. So you need people like that to kind of encourage you in what feels more natural to you.
For sure. So whenever you started writing music, at least, was it a situation where you started writing it pretty soon after you got the keyboard and started taking lessons? Was it kind of a simultaneous thing for you?
Yeah, it was so I started out, I was never really a person to learn a song. I always did kind of just write stuff. So most of the things that I knew to play on piano were just little tunes that I kind of played out. I guess I've just always written, to me, music is just writing music. I learned songs. I'm in a cover band now, and I've learned some more songs for fun as I've gone on, but it's always just kind of started as hearing something and figuring out a tune and seeing where I can take it.
That's a good mindset to have. Whenever you started writing, how long did it take you before you were you felt confident in a song to show it to someone? And was it on piano or was it on?
That's a pretty good question. So some of them, my first songs were just piano compositions. It was just a little sonata or whatever.
No words or anything.
Yeah, no words, no backing tracks, just little piano songs I wrote. So I felt pretty comfortable showing those to people because there's not a lot to it. They're pretty easy. It didn't seem too revealing. But eventually I did get an acoustic guitar, and I still played piano mostly, but that's when I started writing like songs with words, is when I had a guitar, because there's something, it's easier. I don't know, I have like 2 slots, and piano, playing left hand and playing right hand kind of takes up both of my slots, but on guitar, it's like guitar is 1 slot and vocals are another, so it's easier for me to play guitar and sing for whatever reason. The guitar and vocal songs took me longer to show people, just because I wasn't really comfortable with my voice. My recording sounded real crappy. But I do remember,
it's kind of a vulnerable thing.
It is, because even if you think you're a great performer, you're usually writing stuff that's kind of intimate and personal. So even if you're super confident in your presentation, you're still like, do I really want people to hear this?
Yeah. There's got to be that element to it.
Yeah, because it is very vulnerable and personal. That's why you hide stuff behind metaphors, I guess. But I showed my brother one day one of my songs, and his reaction, he was just like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that. And he made it seem like he was like, pretty impressed. And that gave me some confidence. So I started showing more people. But I don't know, it's never really been about showing people. I'll mix stuff. If I lived in a cave by myself, I'd be writing songs. But it is good to kind of have it be received well. It makes you want to get it out there a little bit more.
So whenever you started to show people your songs, was that after you moved to Denton, or was that?
That was before. That was
before?
Smaller, when it was more just like my family or friends I was showing it to. When I got to Denton, it took me a while to really meet a bunch of cool. I went to school for 2 years, didn't meet anyone, didn't do anything, wasn't productive, and moved away. But I came back here a couple of years later. I guess that would have been like 2015, maybe 16, something like that.
So the first time you came here, was it for school?
It was for school, and that's all I did, and I didn't like it, so I was kind of just holed up, not interacting with people or making connections. The second time I was just here kind of working, and my siblings went to school, so it was a lot easier the second time to kind of go out and meet people. And I actually met people through some of my Dallas/Bonham friends that I've known. They knew some people that lived around here.
Wow, Bonham. It's been a long time since I heard about that town.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's a cool place, but you don't need to think about it too much. Yeah, dudes like Aiden, actually, the drummer for you guys.
Yeah.
He was one of the first people that lived here that I knew, like, oh, this guy's a pretty badass musician. And I was thinking so hard. I can't remember why I went to his house the first time. I think I was trying to find someone to drum for my little punk band I used to be in, but for whatever reason we scheduled a meeting. I went over to his house, and through him I met people like Keeton Tollefson and Ryan Miller. People that just do musical. Charles Knowles was one of my buddy's friends from the Flower Mound, Bonham, Dallas group. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just have so many little friend groups that mix, and some of them were just in Denton.
I've met some of those people in passing, just through Aiden. I think they've come out to shows, or like I've seen them over at Fandon or something. We're hanging out.
Yeah, totally. Ryan is in a few bands. Like Guilt Trippers is the main one I know of. I think they played at J&J's last time y'all were there.
Oh, okay. I guess that would have been early March, right before all this shit went down. Yeah,
right before.
That was our last show, because we had another show in Austin the week before, because we didn't get on any sort of South by thing, and so we got lucky. When I have a friend of mine who, whenever I was in the Delzells, before, like the 2 years that I wasn't doing Posival, I met this guy through our guitar player at the time, and he lived in Austin, and then my friend Justin got me in contact with him, and so we set it up, and I wasn't sure if we were gonna ever get a gig there, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the guy sounded kind of
wishy-washy, or
well, he just kind of sounded unsure of whether or not he would be able to. So, but we got it, so that was nice. But
you secured it, but you didn't get to actually go up there.
Oh no, we played there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
okay.
like
that was before J&J's.
Yeah, it was like
Gotcha.
the following weekend or something like that. So, but yeah, okay. So they played that night. I don't even remember who exactly. No, that must have been a different show then. Or was he?
I went to two at J&J's pretty close together. They may have both been in March. I might just be kind of fusing those two events together.
That might be. There's so many. Like,
yeah.
J&J's is the spot for me. Like I like.
Yeah, that little basement's really cool. It's intimate and it's usually not expensive.
So that brings me to my next question. Then, what was your first show?
My first. Well, how do you want to define show? Because, I mean, I did some open mic nights.
That counts.
You know? Okay. Let me think. The first open mic night I ever did was in Denison. My buddy's dad opened a brewery/bar, Ivanhoe Ale Works.
Oh, okay.
In Denison. They have some pretty tasty brews. But they started a Thursday night open mic thing, and the first day I went out there, no one else showed up, so I was expecting like a 20-30 minute time slot, and they let me just play for 2 hours.
Hey, so that's a show, man. That is a show.
I mean, there was like maybe 8 people there filtering in and out, 8 people tops, but still it was really cool. I just played some covers I knew and played probably like half the songs I've written for people that weren't listening. But I don't know, if they're not listening, you kind of get little confidence boost. You kind of do a little better, and then maybe they listen a little more. So
yeah, it always takes the pressure off at least a little bit whenever you're playing like an open mic or that sort of setting, at least, and then
something casual. There's no expectation.
Yeah, you're just kind of there to fill the room a little bit.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, so when did you join a band then? Because I know you joined a few bands. We talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I guess there's really only 2 bands I've been in, and the first one was Chase Cannons, which was kind of throughout high school. Me and my stepbrother would write songs together, and he would play. It was mostly like songs I wrote, but he would play lead guitar and maybe help me with verses or backup vocals or whatever. And that was an acoustic duo, just the 2 of us. But then I was like, I want to make an EP. I want to make a little punk EP. I know people. We can do this. That's probably when I first reached out to Aiden. But
okay. And that was after you moved out here the second time?
Yeah, the second time. So the songs were old. They were from high school and college, but I didn't say, let's try to make this an EP until that second time I moved back up here.
Okay.
But then my friend Steven, who I've known forever, and he's a phenomenal drummer, and you know Steven Stanley. He ended up, I don't know why he wasn't always our drummer, but he ended up getting involved, and he kind of took it to the next level in terms of like helping me make more connections and also just motivating me to kind of do more work, because as fun as music is, it's still work. Yeah, you still got to get up and practice when you're tired, and you still got to put long hours into it for no money.
That's true.
So he was there to like, I don't know how great he is at drums inspired me, but also as a longtime friend, he just kind of helped motivate me to get more done.
Because you knew him before that too, anyway, right? Yeah. So it wasn't like you were just meeting each other for the music.
We had a connection already, so maybe he was a little more invested than he otherwise would have been.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So that was what was the name of that band again?
Chase Cannon.
Chase Cannon.
Yeah.
So was that like did you just kind of release the music and then play a few shows and then move on, or was it
well, we played the same kind of deal. We played, I think, 3 open mic nights together. But the EP never got finished. We tracked everything except for bass. It's kind of a weird story, and we were pretty much done with it in August. I kind of had some personal shit go down, and then at the same time, Steven got a great job offer to go move to California. So my life kind of derailed. Steven left, and he was half the band plus all my motivation. So I just kind of definitely didn't forget about it. I still listen to him a lot, and now I'm in a place to kind of pick it back up, and I have a bassist, and it's on my timeline to get all that finished.
Nice.
But it just it was a weird time.
Yeah, it's really, it does take a lot of time for things to kind of come together nicely. And
luck, which you can't control.
Yeah, that's the big thing is luck. You really got it. Music is so subjective, just like any other art form. You could be doing something that's amazing that people don't take notice of until you're like in your 40s or 50s. That sort of thing happens all the time.
And you can do something horrible that blows up overnight.
Right.
The spectrum is vast.
Or even just something that you wouldn't think people would like, and then they like it, and you're kind of confused because I was actually having this conversation with someone, I think in an earlier podcast. It was just like, you can be a musician and you can make a conscious decision to make a certain kind of music purely because it's going to get attention.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And so you can make that conscious decision as a musician and go that route if that's really what you're going for. There's a lot of people that just can't do that, though, and I totally get that viewpoint too. I'm one of those people. I just, if I really wanted to, I could probably sit and make shitty pop songs out of computer noises. Yeah. But I just don't want to. I don't want to do it. Not that pop music is shitty, guys. If you're listening to this, I like pop music
He's
too.
Saying he could make shitty pop music.
I could make
if he chose to.
Yes. My pop music would probably be shitty, but I like pop music.
Yeah. I think I'm also that way. It's hard enough to make music that you already just naturally know how it's supposed to sound.
Right. Yeah.
To try and make something that's not just natural to you, it just adds an extra layer. And it's not that my brain doesn't work that way, but I don't think I've ever sat down and been like, I want to construct this type of song that makes people feel this way and seems like it's this genre mixed with this genre.
Right. Exactly.
Normally I hear a melody or think of a cool little phrase and that just becomes a song, and I have almost no control over it. It's just kind of
you're just kind of a vessel for it.
Yeah, like some insane, horny, angsty demon has possessed me, and I'm just a vessel, like you said, for whatever's coming out.
And there's so many musicians that do multiple genres too. That's what's really cool about being a musician is like, you can, if you get proficient enough in enough, genres, you can experiment and add shit together, or keep it separate and just do multiple projects that are just very different from each other. I find that very appealing whenever you meet another musician that has been that can cross over genres very easily, and it's very accessible to have that tool, that you can use. So what kind of music are you making now? Are you still working on the punk route, or are you going some different ways?
So when Steven left and I gave up on the punk route, I had a couple of months where I wasn't doing much, but I was writing a whole bunch of stuff, and it sounded very, very different. So I just kind of rode that wave for a while, not really caring, and just kind of writing whatever was coming to me. And then I had these 10 songs that were kind of really cool and like nothing I'd ever done before. So I was like, screw Steven. He'll have fun in California. He'll play in his own bands for a while. I'll just make this an album. So I just found a producer who's a dude in Dallas at Pure Life Recordings. His name's Alex Owens. You could check him out on Spotify. He's kind of been around since like 2014, 15 maybe.
Okay.
He's been to Warped Tour, just touring his own personal stuff. He's been in a few bands. I couldn't name drop all of them right now, but I basically took this project to him in January maybe. And we started recording in February. So you asked what kind of music. It's kind of like folk pop with a little bit of rock or maybe southern kind of mixed in.
Okay.
Song to song, it varies greatly, so it's difficult to really label it.
Cool, man. I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Have you already got stuff recorded yet, or you've just got demos that you?
No, we have 6 songs that are, I would say, completely done except for like the final mixing and mastering. And we have one that I needed a female vocalist for, and it's been hard with the pandemic to really get someone that can come in or even, do it remotely on their own schedule.
Yeah.
So after going through 3 people, I'm at a person now that actually lives in California. Yeah.
Funny.
Outsourcing. And I think she's actually going to do it. And so that song is all done except for the female vocalist. And then I got 2 more that need to be recorded. One we did the MIDI for, but we were in an awkward situation where he didn't have plugins, so we just did the MIDI. And the other one, he was asleep, and I just did all the pre-production, just recorded all the acoustic guitar myself. So
is the studio a home studio?
Yeah, it's a home studio.
Oh, okay.
It's a desk and an iMac in the corner of a studio apartment, so it doesn't look very great, but he's really an intelligent guy, and he's been doing it for a long time, and his ear is impeccable. He is one of the guys that can sit down and say, I want to make a K-pop song with metal guitar and bass and drums, and he can just do that.
That's
so
cool.
I'm real lucky to have met him and be working with him.
Hey, I mean, it really doesn't matter as far as like your setup, unless you're going for something extremely particular.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you know what you're doing on the audio engineering side of things, you can make some shitty microphones sound pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like
you can make shitty singers sound really good digitally. So.
Yeah, that's definitely true too. Most programs have like an auto-tune thing.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? I actually I used to live in Irving, and I don't know if you ever heard of Murphy's Music. You live in Dallas.
That sounds familiar. Is it a store?
Yeah, it's a store.
Is it off 635?
It's off of 183.
Okay.
But
I've been to several music places in Dallas, and that sounds really familiar. If I haven't been there, I at least called them to see if they had a rubberneck analog delay pedal when I was looking for one a few months ago.
Oh, okay, nice.
But that name's familiar.
Yeah, there was a guy there who showed me some recordings he did with some like cheap $100 drum mics and like one condenser mic, and I was like sort of blown away as to what he was able to get out of it. And that stuff sounds pretty cool. So when do you plan on releasing this album?
My original date was August something, but that was the date I decided on in March before I knew the world was going to catch on fire. So now I'm kind of thinking maybe like a Christmas, January 2020, just because it's been so much more chaotic than I had anticipated.
Yeah.
But I will let you know as soon as I know.
Cool. Well, whenever you do release it, make sure you shoot me a message, because I'm not on. I'm not on any social media right now.
I discovered that when I was trying to find you. I was like, am I spelling his name right? Is he just that cool that he can just step away from social media?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm cool. Not by any stretch.
Few cool people think they are.
Well, when do you see yourself playing another show? Because I was talking to Evan Fee whenever he was on the podcast, and he was telling me that he doesn't feel comfortable playing until like there's a vaccine, and I've been asking other musicians and getting kind of various information about it. How do you feel?
My answer is going to be the most destructive answer that you've heard probably of everyone you've asked that question, because since the pandemic started, I've played more shows than I've ever played in my life. I'm in a classic rock, 90s grunge blues cover band called 78 Live, and they're based in Bonham, Texas, which is about an hour and a half northeast of here, off the Red River. That's where I'm from. And it's a very small, very conservative town. So as you can imagine, not too many people in that area are really taking the whole thing very seriously anyway.
Yeah.
We actually played a show called Coronapalooza in April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it sounds real bad on paper. Like, on paper, it's like, redneck town, Bonham, Texas, puts entire community at risk by holding Coronapalooza in face of CDC.
I love the name.
Right?
That's great.
But it was pretty nice. It was conscious. It was outdoors. It was a drive-in concert. Everyone stayed in their cars. They filled a parking lot. They parked in the streets around it. There were 3 restaurants on the square that were taking phone orders and were bringing stuff out. And I'd say at least 50% of the people were wearing masks. So it was kind of responsible. But
that didn't sound too bad at all.
yeah, in terms of when do I expect to play shows, I got 4 or 5 booked up until the end of August, but it's all small town, tiny bar venues, and one of them's even a private party on someone's farm. So
nice.
So yeah, destructive answer. We are not distancing socially, but
well, I mean, you know, the fact that you're playing in like smaller towns is at least making it better.
Yeah.
Like, I totally understand why a lot of the venues are not, you know, not really doing shows yet or anything.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, like before, there's like evidence that it might be getting worse. And
yeah.
So there's some concern there. Definitely, just you know, need to be careful.
Yeah.
With whatever decision you decide to. Whatever decision you go with at this point, like as a musician, just you know.
Yeah, so in the non-musician world, like when I go to work, I work in Dallas at a healthcare facility, and I'm kind of the only person that wears a mask every day. And it's not that I don't think they are taking it seriously, but at the same time, like I just told you, I'm going crazy. I'm playing shows and running around. So since my exposure is so much higher, I just don't want to, like, that's my decision, right?
Yeah.
I'm breaking the rules. I'm being dumb. I don't want anyone else to suffer for it. So I'm still going to constantly wear a mask, wash my hands. I'm not going to approach anyone with a hug, but I'll hug someone that comes to me. Yeah. So you're right. Safety is very important, but it's also, like, it is weirdly kind of a personal decision right now.
Yeah, and I think that it's mainly just because there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily directly being affected by it, either because their immune system is strong enough to just fight it off pretty easily, or they're not even aware that they have it.
Which is the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, so just limit large public gatherings, and that's the way that I think that everybody should at least be conscious of doing. And the fact you're playing shows in small towns, I mean, and you're not really putting tons of people at risk.
Bars are open anyway.
That.
And they still have limited people. They're spacing out the seats.
They're taking the measures.
So I don't think me just being in the corner playing instruments is going to increase all the people who are already there by their own choices chances of getting anything. Right.
You're far enough away, being like on a stage or in a corner that it's not like you're.
As long
walking
as they don't
shoulder to shoulder to people.
As long as they don't come use my mic to make an announcement or something, they'll probably be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So what is the folk project called? What is it called?
So that's just me. That's just Keeton Allen.
Oh, okay.
That's just the name I'm going with. I kind of flirted with some other names, but I also think that I'm going to be a musician forever, even if it makes me $0. I'm going to spend my money doing it because it's fun. It gives me a purpose. So I'll probably, chase cannons as a thing, and I'll play guitar with someone and not really be the creative director and just be in another band. But this is kind of the start of what I think will just be my stuff, Yeah. Just my shit. I'll do other things, but this one's my shit.
Yeah, man. Cool. So whenever you perform these songs, are you gonna have a band with them or with you, or
that's the goal, because so far when I've done them, it's just been how they were written, which is me singing it and playing it on guitar. But through this process, bass riffs have been written, some keys have been written, drums have been programmed. It's all digital, but the songs have changed through the recording process. So now, to perform them effectively, I would need, a drummer, a keyboardist, a bassist, and probably another guitarist. And so that would be the goal. If I take this album and someone picks it up and signs me as like, go on tour, I'm definitely going to get a little group together.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a good mindset to have, at least. But the fact that it is a kind of a folk band, you could do open mics and it wouldn't be a problem.
That's the cool thing. You can also make it just me with the guitar, and you're not really losing too much of the core song. Some of them more so than others. There's a couple that are a little more electric, but overall it's really an acoustic album with just some intricate backings.
Yeah. I always feel kind of strange, like playing a punk song on an acoustic guitar at an open mic. Sometimes it sounds cool, so other times it doesn't sound that cool. So there's always that like weirdness. Like there's some songs, like listening to someone play acoustically, you think like, oh, okay, they completely changed that. But being able to have that ability or that mindset to change something into an entirely different thing acoustically is a very it's a cognitive task. Really, you have to think about it.
Reevaluate something that you already consider finished.
Right.
Like, I wrote this song, but now I kind of have to redo it. And I'm more limited, so how can I, you might figure out a way to maybe add a little pinky in to kind of add the lead guitar to the rhythm you're playing. You can change stuff up a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, what's the name of your cover band that you're in, too?
We are 78 Live, because the highway that our jam space, which is awesome, is on, and where we played most of our shows is Highway 78. It goes out of town. And live, because we play live and we're all living. So I guess that makes sense.
What's your set list normally look like?
So we play, I don't know if you listen to the Eagle 97.1.
Yeah.
So every fifth song on the Eagle is something that we play. Pretty much.
Really?
But we play like Silverchair. We do.
Okay.
We do a few ZZ Top songs, some Creedence.
Nice. I used to love Creedence Clearwater when I was in high school. I got obsessed with that band for a while.
Well, we always add a little grit to songs when we cover them too. It's always a little heavier when we get our hands on it.
That's always that. Those are good songs to do it too, because they're simple and they're like, he's got kind of that shouty voice. So
it's silky, but you can also add some guttural throat to it, and it makes it sound pretty cool. Like our Born on the Bayou cover, it starts out pretty original, but we kind of
rock it out.
Yeah, we pick it up halfway through.
Nice. So, you as a musician, what would you say were your strongest influences whenever you were learning to play?
Well, so when I was playing piano, I thought I was cool listening to like classical stuff, but I never tried to do that. There was one chick named Regina Spektor. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I actually have. Cool. I don't remember how I know her name though. It's just in my subconscious somewhere.
Yeah. Well, she has a few hits. Okay, so Orange is the New Black, the theme song of that show is her, but she's kind of big-ish now. Her old stuff is very weird, quirky, off the wall, but most of her songs are just her on piano and singing. And I just loved the vibe. I kind of wanted to be the male Regina Spektor. But I would say nowadays, my favorite band all through high school is Say Anything, and they've really influenced me a lot. But some of my influences I sound absolutely nothing like Freddie Mercury, for example. I love Queen.
Oh, okay. I can definitely see that being like, into piano first.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I didn't even make that connection because I'm more. I don't know the guitarist's name, but he's kind of like, you know.
I think Brian May is his name.
Sounds right. He's kind of. He doesn't really get to shine very often, but I feel like when he does, when he unleashes something, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And it's also
they're all very talented.
all super talented. Yeah. And Gorillaz.
Oh
is a huge
yeah,
influence.
I love the Gorillaz.
I try to collaborate as much as I can, just because.
Aiden does too. He really likes them too.
Okay, nice.
Because I think he does. I feel like I was hanging out with him once and he put them on.
A lot of people do. Everyone at least knows some of their songs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mentioned that female vocalist earlier, but I do have several guest vocalists on the Keeton Allen album because to me, like we were talking about earlier, it's hard for me to really step outside of my song and see it from another perspective. So getting some sort of collaboration helps them develop into something else. So there's, I think, 4 tracks, maybe 5. It's hard to count on the fly, that have one of my talented friends doing vocals with me, or backups, or they get a verse or something.
That sounds fun.
It is. Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah. So do you see yourself like ever getting into, you know, maybe a different aspect of music besides the creating, like maybe getting into producing or like the technical aspect?
Yeah, actually, the more, because it seems like a really scary, hard thing, and it is. You know, I'm not saying that it's just easy or that anyone can do it, but the more I kind of sit with producers and watch them work, and they'll kind of teach me and show me their tricks, the more it seems like something that is totally doable. I feel like I need a Mac probably, and I need someone who's been doing it to kind of show me stuff. But I'm absolutely interested in kind of getting in on the production side. I have had Fruity Loops since I was a kid too.
Oh, okay.
So I've made just some of the worst beats you've ever heard since about 2013 to now. So I don't
those
share
are so
those
much fun to
or consider that a project, but they're there. And so yeah.
My buddy Joseph, he has Fruity Loops on his computer. Like every time I'm hanging out with him, like, hey, pull that shit up. Let's make something stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fun, man.
Yeah, you need that too. You need the project that you don't show anyone, because it gets stressful carrying sometimes. You really need those days where it's like, let's record this cat meowing, sample it, and make a wicked goofy beat.
Oh man, there was a guy that got really famous for doing that. I don't remember what his name was, but he was on like all kinds of talk shows and stuff too. But that's what he would do.
For like sampling, just
he would just like walk around the street and sample some shit. Like, I think he even sampled like one lady getting upset at someone else at a coffee shop or some shit. Like he recorded it like
a
secretly.
Karen of some kind.
Something like that. Oh no, it was funny. So what would you say is your goal with Keeton Allen? What are some of the things you would really like to do with it?
I have never even actually thought about my goal, because to me, I'm kind of just invested in the process. I set small goals, like, you know, finish the album, get artwork.
Those are good. It's good to keep your goals, like, you know, somewhat reasonable.
In bite-sized pieces, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Will Smith said, you don't build a wall, you just set one brick each day, or whatever. But I guess my goal would be to have this album in a consumable medium where I can sell it and show people, and to be able to tour, because I've never toured, and that's something I absolutely want to do, to tour my own stuff and have things that I created to sell. That's my goal. That's what I would like to do.
Yeah. Just even just like once, you know.
Even once, yeah. Even if I
to say you did
don't make money or break even, it's just every show I've ever gone to since I was a kid, I just see them on stage and it's just like, I
want to do that.
I want this.
Yeah, man. It would definitely be fun. I've talked about doing it before all this stuff went down, and I definitely wanted to do it at least once, but I don't know. I really don't. I don't necessarily see it happening anymore. I mean, it still could, but you know, it's everything's sort of up in the air for everybody right now.
Yeah, it is. But I also think, I mean, humans have been pretty cool here and all. They've been really bad, don't get me wrong, but a lot of cool little innovative things have come out of this. So maybe you and me will be on the first whatever the replacement for Torian is. Maybe it's like a virtual reality experience or something.
Maybe we'll all get holograms, and then we can just never leave our house and still do the things we want to do.
I mean, that would be ideal even without the virus. So.
Right?
So I say we should put all of our eggs in that basket.
I just want everybody to know that I am pro hologram technology.
Yes.
I think we should have more holograms.
So the Matrix, essentially.
Yes.
We would all be plugged into something in a safe Lysol container, and we'd be living our fantasies in a sterile,
let's
digital
create
environment.
a simulation to escape this one that we're all trapped in.
What if that's already happened? And this is the simulation.
That's definitely happened already.
Yeah. That's just
Do you get into Elon Musk, like, whenever he talks about this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I think he said something crazy in an interview where he was like, there's a 1 in 1/1000th of a chance that we're living in base reality.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I remember that.
Fuck.
Like, it's basically statistically less probable that this is the real universe because of how likely it is fake universes will be created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It makes sense. It's I can't wrap my head around it, but it makes sense.
Well, there's also an idea that alternate universes are related to consciousness. So if you think about it, that sort of makes sense, because what is reality? Like, for a living human being, reality is perception.
Yeah,
and there's infinite amount of ways you can perceive anything.
Yeah,
and
like shrimp see in infrared. Bats use echolocation. We don't know what that's like.
Right, and so reality can be like warped and manipulated by your perception of things.
Yeah, because that's all it is.
And that's infinite. And so in a lot of ways, the idea that the universe and the like multiple dimensions of reality being related to consciousness makes sense in that from that standpoint. And
it really does, because I mean, does reality exist without consciousness to perceive it? I mean, like, I like to think yes. Like, if every living creature stops existing, of course this is all still here. But I mean, how do you verify that?
Right.
There's no.
It's a very complicated subject, you know.
Yeah,
and then it gets into the idea of creation, because if you create your own reality and you're not sure whether or not reality will even exist without your perception, then in a way that reality would have had to been created. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh man, you can make yourself crazy thinking about this shit.
So it's sort of like the way the wavelength structure collapses when it's observed.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot of explanations for that. I've been watching some quantum physics stuff lately.
Oh, dude, that stuff is crazy. Yeah, I get real into that.
I do too. And the more, like, stuff that sounds really dumb, like multiple universes, it sounds really crazy, and then you just hear some dude that's been to school for like 30 years basically tell you why it mathematically makes sense in such a calm manner. You're just like, damn, I think I'm gonna go cry in the shower because this makes sense, and yet I can't possibly comprehend it.
That's essentially what string theory is, you know? I mean, and for anybody that's still listening, because this is pretty impressive as you're still listening.
Yeah. Fuck, we've been going for a little while.
Yeah, but string theory just suggests that there's a smaller particle than a neutron in an atom that is essentially a vibrating string, and they believe that this is in fact the only reason why protons stay in their place within the nucleus. Mm-hmm. So and there's, long story short, basically there was a mathematician that eventually was able to do an equation that could compute possible universes, and it's just still been going. Like, this equation it still works, and the number of universes that you can produce from this equation is like seemingly infinite. And so it's sort of people are trying to say that, well, maybe it's just like math trickery that we just don't understand, but math and physics and other sciences are so closely related that it's got to be, there's got to be some sort of fundamental truth to it. And I quite honestly think that our extremely small still human minds are in relation to whatever else could be out there in the universe. We can't understand it. There's this, we're reaching our limits with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a two-dimensional being trying to look into the third dimension. It just doesn't work. I heard a physicist make a pretty good analysis kind of to that point. He kind of said that we're using math, which works in physics, to try to describe or solve all these metaphysical problems. And we get close, we get cool answers. Like you said, we get these equations that produce results, but we can't really figure out how to use them or how to apply them to reality.
Or what they mean.
Or what they mean for off of paper. Like, how does this work? Really, math is probably just not the way to explain that stuff. That's just the best tool we have that we've gotten the closest with, but there is probably a whole new system of thought out there. I mean, math didn't always exist. Humans were starting fire with sticks thinking they were the smartest thing to walk the planet, and then someone conceptualized number 0 and blew everyone's mind. So stuff like we'll learn all these tools that are just inconceivable to humans before us. So maybe one day math will be just chunked out for something that works better and does explain these problems in a realistic, usable way. Yeah,
in a lot of ways, we're still evolving as a species.
Or devolving. I can't
devolving. Tell. Yeah, there's probably a lot more devolving than evolving that's happening.
Maybe we're just neutral. Maybe this is it. We're just stuck here.
Yeah, we're stuck here, and then coronavirus is going to kill everybody, and there's the ozone's going to collapse, and then we're gonna mutate. Our cells are gonna mutate, and then in the next 300 million years, something else is gonna come up on Earth after it goes through its ice age cycle with no ozone.
Well, eventually the sun will just explode and.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. I mean, eventually
time might stop. I mean, I don't. Isn't there like heat death of the universe? Isn't that a thing when everything's so spread out that there's just no?
Right. Yeah, because the idea that the universe is always expanding. So once things get so far apart from each other that nothing can ever be heated,
eventually
what happens?
A living being on Earth wouldn't be able to see any stars.
Yeah.
There would be no sunlight.
Well, who knows where we're going, people? Who knows?
I don't even know where I'm going, so I can't even pretend.
Well, I guess pretty soon you'll be going home, because I think we should probably end it here.
Yeah, I don't know. Haven't been in Denton in a while. I might trying to get into some Denton stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. You still have friends that live out here then?
Not really. Like, the last few that I had living here kind of migrated back to where their parents live or somewhere else during the pandemic, because they either lost their job or weren't going to school anymore.
Yeah.
Not really, honestly. It's kind of a sad time. Used to love going out to fry, call like 15 people. And now it's just like crickets every time I show up.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like most people don't stay in Denton very long,
Yeah, but that's probably why it's as cool as it is.
And that's probably a good thing for those people that left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if I really want to stay here that long either.
They're better off. The only downside to them not being here is just the fact that I can't get drunk with them if 2 times a year I show up.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and you can check out Keeton Allen's music online on the interwebs, the social media.
Probably not yet, but trust me, when it's ready, everyone will be aware. for sure. Especially the people listening.
Oh, do you not even have a Facebook page for this?
I mean, I have my Facebook page, and I consider my Instagram my official music Instagram, but
Gotcha.
I don't want to start teasing things until I got something to release.
Gotcha.
It won't be. I don't want to make it official until I actually have something.
For sure. Well, hopefully that'll come soon, and thanks for listening. Bro. And if you want to be on the show, just send an email to hickorystreetpodcast@gmail.com, and we can set it up. All right, thanks.
All right, see y'all.